tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare.
All right, hello everyone, Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get black into it. Hey, we the people, G from the land, DJ Big Six, Nubia Ra, LL is in the virtual building. All right, let's get into it above all that drama. Buckhorst DC. All right, Hadassah is here. Chili Willie from Philly. Okay, Yvette, I see you, beloved. Nessie X, Desmond, Queen Amoni Huey. Just Anticipate. Battle Axe, Nessa G. Shout out to all my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, I see you, we the people. Now, let's get into it. Before we do, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com, and she sells beard oil as well. Okay, so let's get into it. Pete Hegseth gave a briefing. We're going to take a look at that. And he was files. So they say Iranian state media on Tuesday aired an AI-generated video accusing President Donald Trump of starting the war to distract from the Epstein files. Well, clearly they see right through him. Okay, and the animated video published in full by the Daily Beast began with Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the devil as Lego characters looking at some kind of booklet. Trump's character was shown with tears streaming down his face before it's revealed that the booklet contains files on Epstein. Oh, do y'all hear this? I am so through. Listen, I'm going to have to find that video because I just literally saw this. I just saw this. It was in my emails. But anywho, it says that Trump's character was shown with tears streaming down his face before it's revealed that the booklet contains Epstein files. I am so done. Then they say Trump then pulled out a big red button, pressing it multiple times aggressively. Was it the button to the nuclear codes? They say the next shot depicted a U.S. missile flying in the sky. That was followed by a scene of a class in session. Seconds later, the screen went black as an explosive was heard. Then there was a shot of a blood-soaked package. Hold on, beloveds. Looks like I don't have my computer plugged in. What's going on here? Okay. Got to be more careful. Okay, so anyway, says looks like there was a shot of a blood-soaked backpack, a clear reference to the bombing of the elementary school in Naval, Iran. Iranian media has reported as many as 180 dead, most of them children. Additionally, early analysis of the airstrikes in the area has indicated that the school was likely hit by U.S. munitions. While the bombing is under investigation by U.S. officials, Trump has accused Iran of being behind the strike. So stupid. Okay, now the 2-minute video also depicted Iran's retaliatory strikes, showing bombs hitting U.S. bases, fighter jets, and the Burj Al Arab in Dubai. Now, one scene even showed Iranian forces entering the Strait of Hormuz to close it. In the next scene, businessmen were shown crying at the rise of oil prices. So that's going to come true. Okay, at the end of the video, an Iranian soldier stood with a pink backpack by his side. Then text appeared that read, in remembrance of the students from Naval who were murdered at the hands of Zionist and American terrorists. Well, no lies detected. No lies detected. So anyway, that's what they had to say about y'all's nefarious president. That crazy bitch Eric said, Queen looks amazing as usual. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. All right. David said, I just found the video. We have to watch it later. Please send it to my email, beloved. Okay. Please send it to my email, queenahmadiyyahshakur@gmail.com. Thank you. Yeah, we have to watch it later. Okay. So now with that all being said, let's go to this why Trump insiders fear that he's lost MAGA. Now, this is a report from not journalist, but from author Michael Wolff. Okay, so let's go to that, and then we're going to go to the briefing that Hegseth did. And I'm going to tell you all something that really annoyed me about Hegseth is because I see right through him. I do not like that man. He is evil. He is racist. He is a whole devil, just like everybody in Trump's cabinet. But he kept talking, making references to God. It was just so annoying for me because it was very disingenuous. It just seemed as though he were trying to, relates to the Christian, the Christian nationalist, his people. Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. But the fact that this devil is sitting there, just saying the name of God was just really getting on my nerves. May God bless you in the Lord and this and that. Like all of a sudden you're religious, you low down dirty. Oh, I don't even want to get into it. But the fact that he just sat up there and said what he said to stupid okay, to stupid Marco Rubio the other day about he only speaks American, just blatantly racist. Okay, but now you're supposed to be invoking God. It just always has bothered me when racist white people, okay, want to act like they're so religious, and they absolutely are devils. Okay, that's what they are. Now let me continue. Let me continue, honey, because I think about those pictures that I've seen, and they're still online, where they had the little black boy about 6 or 7 years old with a noose around his neck, about to lynch him, but sitting there reading from the Bible, honey. That's all crazy. The Most High does not know you. You are of your father, the devil. Okay, they need to make that clear. Okay, because that's who they're praying to. They cannot be praying to the same God that we pray to. You just couldn't and be that evil and dastardly. Yeah, I doubt it. Okay, I doubt it. Okay, so let's get into it.
From the people that you talk to
Well,
about
it
what's
actually,
inside
I think
Trump's
it's, I
head
think
on
it's a,
this war.
yeah, totally. I think it's a really interesting moment and a kind of pivotal, or I think we say tipping point moment, that the White House really feels it is at war with the MAGA voices, and that may extend to they're at war with their whole base. Partly it has to do with the Iranian war, because obviously the MAGA position is like, what the fuck? This is the MAGA position is we are against forever wars. We're against foreign wars. America first. This is what you promised, wasn't it? Which is what he had promised. The pushback within the White House, I mean, it's really has to do fundamentally with the war, the MAGA objection to the war. That's what everybody is grousing about within the White House. Where are these people? Why are these people leaving us? Why are they deserting us? What is this pushback?
What was interesting this week was the Donald Trump addressing the Republicans who are pulled together for their sort of annual offsite at Doral, the Trump Doral Hotel in Florida, or Doral. How do you pronounce it? Doral.
Doral.
Doral. Okay. But they're all there and they're being told, let's drop the mass deportation message. That isn't playing well for us. They've got rid of Kristi Noem, but they're now seeing the numbers in the polls are shockingly low, especially for Donald Trump. So they're
Okay, I'm going to move on. They're boring me. I'm sorry, it's too early in the morning. They're talking dry, monotone, slow. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. Okay, I'm not that interested in what they're saying anyway, to just sit here and force myself or you all to listen to the rubbish. Now let's continue. Above all that drama, said he's an idiot. Of course he is. That's what he's always been. Hold on. Where do you all see what this idiot did last night? Okay, what do I show? It's so, oh my God. Okay, now this is a report from, no, hold on. I pulled up the wrong thing. Let me go first to Hegseth. Yeah, let me go to Hegseth and this briefing first. This is a report from TMZ that I'm just going to skip over for now. Okay, here we go. Hold on, beloveds. It's looking like it doesn't. Why is it telling me this looks like a virus? Hold on. Let me just pull it up elsewhere. Something's going on with this email. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is from about 2 hours ago, beloveds. How many commercials are they going to show?
Iran shooting at shipping. It is open for transit should Iran not do that. Now, there's a reason why we chose as one of our primary objectives destroy the Navy. We understood the ability to interdict shipping is something Iran has done for 40 years. It's key terrain. They've used it as leverage. The world is seeing what they'll do to fight back in that context. And so we've heard them talk about taking various measures, and we're planning for all of them. So we have a plan for every option here. We're working with our interagency partners, and that's not a strait we're going to allow to remain contested or with a lack of flow of commercial goods. So we're aware of that. We're laser focused on our military objectives, but also want to make sure our partners across this government understand we're working with you to make sure that energy flows, and that's an important part.
First of all, he needs to shut the hell up. This is really starting to tick me off. They're the reason that it's closed. Okay, they're the reason that it's closed, and he's talking about they're going to make sure that it doesn't stay closed. How are you going to do that? You can't even get in there. The Iranians are laying mines. They're laying explosives under the water, fool. So what are you going to do? Okay, what is he going to do? He's trying to appease people because he knows they've effed up. Okay, they never anticipated that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz. They never saw that coming. You know why they never saw that coming? Because they felt that that would negatively impact them as well, so they wouldn't do it. Okay, but the United States needs to realize that in times of war, they're not the only ones who are willing to cut off their noses to spite their faces. Okay, but let's continue. And thank you, C-Stan Beloved, for your contribution to the channel and your kind words. Blessings to you. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. I absolutely
and
not.
Our ability to, obliterate them.
We retain a range of options to solve a whole variety of problems, and that is one set of options that we have, that we hold on to. So, absolutely.
And also, let me just point out something else that he's lying about more likely than not, unless they had some sort of way to eavesdrop on the Iranian soldiers. He said that they've heard them. Did y'all hear him say that? He said that we've heard them talking about some type of plans or whatever, and they're trying to basically come up with countermeasures. I'm paraphrasing. But how did you hear this, Seth? How were you privy to their conversations? Okay, the lies. And then saying a whole bunch of nothing. We're laser focused and we're just trying to make sure. And notice how they keep reiterating that they destroyed their Navy. Okay, we got it. You destroyed the Navy. Tell us something else. You've been saying it for days. They're still whipping y'all's arse. They're still not letting anybody go through the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, aren't they on ships? Please, let's continue.
Thank you.
I look at the reports on a daily basis of threat. Our interagencies all over it. My partners across government are all over, looking for indications and warnings, keeping the American people safe. There's a lot of things Iran has said it can do for a long time, thankfully, including engaging their proxies and getting them involved in the fight, which they haven't been able to do. So we're watching that very closely. And as far as
hold on, did he just say that they've been trying to engage with their proxies and get them involved in the fight, which they haven't been able to do? What is he talking about? They have absolutely been using their militias. And isn't Hezbollah out of control because Tehran is now saying they can't even stop them? That's one of their proxies, isn't it? Lord help us all. But let's continue. I have to point out the lies. I'm sorry to keep interrupting.
Iran is thought to have 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium in at least 2 locations and several thousand kilograms of lower purity material. Can you conclude this mission successfully without physically taking control of that material, or are you counting on diplomatic negotiations to provide some measure of control leading to its removal? You've mentioned missiles, you've mentioned drones, military industry. You haven't stipulated that taking care of that material is a mission priority.
We've said from the beginning, deny Iran nuclear weapons as a core mission. We retain options across the spectrum to ensure that they never do. And President Trump has said that. And that's why this mission actually couldn't have been possible without Midnight Hammer, without what those B-2s did going across and obliterating those facilities. That set the condition for the opportunity to do what we're doing now. So the president's kept his eye focused on nuclear capabilities. And I will say we have a range of options up to and including Iran deciding that they will give those up, which of course we would welcome. They weren't willing to do in negotiations. I would not.
He's lying again. They weren't willing to do in negotiations. That is not true. They already said that they were willing to negotiate, and then Trump had them struck. Okay, these lies are just pathetic. Are these people just thinking everybody's stupid? And then also, he said they can't get their proxies. They've been trying to engage and get their proxies to fight. Let me just tell you something right here. Okay, first of all, let's talk about it. Iran has a whole network of regional proxies known as the Axis of Resistance, which includes, but not limited to, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthi movement in Yemen, various Shiite militias in Iraq, okay, and Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza. These groups often supported by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. Okay, they advanced Iran's strategic interests in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. At the end of the day, what is he talking about? Didn't I just report to you all yesterday that Hezbollah was out of control and basically now they can reel them back in? And weren't they talking about Yemen today? Like, okay, anyway, let's continue. The lies. Lies.
What happened in
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by
an investigation. The command investigation will take as long as necessary to address all the matters surrounding this incident. And the investigating officer is from outside CENTCOM and is a general officer. But I will note to this group and to the world, there's only one entity in this conflict between us and Iran that never targets civilians. Literally never targets.
You just blew up the girls' school. What are you talking about? Never target civilians. And you damn sure can't say that BB, that they don't target civilians, because that's the reason the U.S. stopped selling them cluster munitions. Because they were targeting civilians in Lebanon, which I guarantee that's what they're still doing, because just days ago it said in the reports that they had taken out like 400 people in Lebanon. Pretty sure many of those were civilians. Okay, if BB had his say so. Let's continue.
Civilian.
That safely and smartly. So we're continuing to develop.
And we do a
options.
lot of work.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is it is dynamic, but this is, I think, almost by 20% the largest day of strikes. And as I said, our intelligence just gets better and better. That feedback loop feeds itself. And as we refine those targets, it exponentially increases what we can hit and why, to include strategic things the world's talking about and looking at. And it's our job to have a plan for it, which we do, to address it and ensure that the president has options. We've done that from the beginning in this department. He'll have options on that topic as well. Right here.
Thank you.
An investigation is an investigation. That's what it is. It doesn't mean anything other than that. Yes.
Right.
An investigation is an investigation. Doesn't mean anything other than that. What kind of answer is that? What kind of answer is that? Sir, he wants to know what's going on with the investigation. Okay, I'm sorry. Do y'all get word salad from this? Because he's not saying anything as far as I'm concerned. He's just saying the same thing over and over in different words. Okay, please pay attention. Keeps on talking about Trump is focused. They're laser focused. He has options. We're ensuring that he has options. Aside from us and one other party in the war, nobody's targeting civilians. You literally just blew up a damn school and killed 180 civilians. The hell are you talking about? And most of them children, you devil.
You use standoff, which are more exquisite. You transition to a much larger magazine depth, ensuring that you're preserving all the capabilities you have and your options across the force. Absolutely.
Has Iran placed any mines
Right
since
here.
the war
Lisa.
started? Is Iran placing new mines?
We've heard them talk about it, just like you've reported recklessly and wildly about it.
No, he didn't. Did y'all hear it? Did y'all hear it? How he just went in on that lady, but later on, I promise you, he's going to be praying to God. He just went on that poor little innocent reporter for asking him a very valid question. Are the Iranians laying mines? Yes, they are. And he said, we've heard them say. You haven't heard them say a darn thing. How are you listening to them? Okay, how are you listening to their conversations? And at the end of the day, here's the thing. He said he's heard them talk about it, and just like you've reported on it wildly and recklessly. So he's mad. I want you all to pay attention. The reason he got so mad, buzzwords. They're upset because they don't want certain details being let out because they're losing. If you're winning the war, you don't care what people are reporting about it, what's actually true. But they're losing pitifully, okay? That's what they're doing. Now, he's already said they took out the Navy. Then he said that they've knocked out all their aircraft. Well, here's the question. What in the hell happened to our aircraft? Did it just fall from the sky? Because they said that it wasn't shot down, nor was it hit by friendly fire. What the hell happened? Did it just fall out of the clouds? What's going on here? Now he wants to go in on this poor reporter for asking a simple question. Let's continue.
But George W. Bush or Barack Obama or Joe Biden, who had these expansive nebulous mission sets that kept changing all the time. And so the timeline kept moving and we kept pouring more troops in and on the ground. And then pretty soon everyone wonders, like I did in Afghanistan in 2012, what's our mission here?
We're wondering the same thing about you. What's your mission? Okay, besides to distract us from the Epstein files and to lick Bibi Netanyahu's arse. I mean, the nerve, and don't bring up Obama and Biden again.
I'm not clear what it is. We're taking the opposite approach here and saying we've defined these objectives. We're pursuing those objectives. The president has his hand on the throttle and will decide ultimately when they've been reached that serve the purposes of the United States of America.
Can anybody tell me what the hell he just said and what any of it means? Can anybody tell me what he just said and what it means? Okay. Songwriter Sonny said, do we need Michelle Pfeiffer to tell us about the dangerous minds? I am so done. This man is making me sick to my stomach, literally.
Recognize it because ultimately we want to do it sequentially in a way that makes the most sense for what we want to achieve and ensure that we're sending the right signals to the world when we do so. So when
we want to make sure we're doing the right thing. And so we're making sure we send the right signals to the world when we do so. What in the hell is he talking about? Okay, I'm done listening to this. I just wanted y'all to hear this food when he starts praying, honey. Okay, and then I'm out of here. I'm going to something else.
We speak. It's based on a full assessment of what we're up against, what we want to say to the world, how that we want them to see and understand the conflict. It's like this whole idea of the war widening. That's what the press wants to make it look like.
Now, I want you to pay close attention to what he's saying right here, because it appears that he's really letting us know that they're trying to control the narrative of what gets out there. He keeps talking about what the world sees, what the world knows. Okay, what we want the world to know. So yeah, he's absolutely, and he's getting upset with the press because he's basically telling them that y'all are getting off code. Because for the most part, the press has been on their side, like saying things that make them look like they're really doing something. But then as of late, it comes out that the Pentagon lied about the number of casualties on the U.S. side. And then other things are coming out, like the jet falling out of the sky and all that. And the USS Gerald caught fire. And let's talk about that in a minute, shall we? And then also the Lincoln was attacked. You didn't want to talk about any of that. I would think those are the main things he should be discussing. So we know what's really going down here, but let's let him cook for about 2 more minutes.
Like strikes. But I want to clarify that. I think what we try to do here is clarify those numbers rather than saying KIA or WIA wounded. Be more clear about that because the overwhelming majority, almost 90%, thank God, are returned to duty. Minor injuries returned to duty, and so that number can look a certain way, and our job is to add some fidelity to it. Absolutely, right here. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. David Zia, Real America's Voice. Can you share what types of munitions have been used on the attacks on commercial shipping? Have any hit mines? And are USVs, unmanned surface vehicles, being used? And just a quick follow-up, were there any arrests in Fort Campbell with the drone thefts?
I'm not familiar with the Fort Campbell thing. The strikes that Iran has taken on shipping up north in the vicinity of Kuwait have been, I believe, from surface to surface missiles up there. We've not seen any USV activity out of Iran. that we've seen in the Gulf at this point.
Nor have any ships hit mines or anything.
Yeah, there's
like
been
that.
no
It's still
yeah,
flowing
thank
through
you.
the
There's
strait.
been no
Absolutely.
strikes.
One more time, right here.
Thank you so much. Heather Mullins, Lindell TV. My first question is, President Trump is set to meet with Xi Jinping in a couple of weeks. How much support, if any, has China been given the Iranian regime? And then the second question, just, I know President Trump calling for an unconditional surrender from Iran. Given that the U.S. is working in partnership with Israel on this whole operation, is Iran expected to meet demands of both?
You all, hold on. I got to tell you all this. Hold on.
The Israelis have, but our objectives are our objectives. And so when those are met, as we meet those, we'll set the tempo of when those are met. What was the first question?
He's meeting with Xi Jinping.
Oh,
in a
yeah.
couple
The president
weeks.
has a
What's China's
has
role in all of
a
it?
historic relationship with President Xi. They look forward to having a dynamic conversation. Two powers. President Trump ultimately has established terms of that relationship, which advance the United States of America, and that meeting will continue to ensure we advance that.
Now, I mean, just the last of it all. Did y'all hear? They both look forward to that dynamic meeting. First of all, how do you know it's going to be dynamic? It could turn out like his meeting with him and Zelensky, which we're going to get into. And then also, he has a historic relationship. What the hell does that even mean? Huh? What does that even mean, a historic relationship? Just using the most ridiculous terms, okay, trying to make it sound like he's really saying something when he's not saying any darn thing. Okay, I'm about to get out of here.
Good morning.
Okay, I've
I'll
heard
start,
enough.
as we often do here at the Department of War, with the bottom line up front. For the world to hear,
Listen, I want you all to pay attention. Right as I clicked off, he said, I'm here to start it off. And then he said something about what the press needs to report or what they need to know, that the United States is unbeatable. This, he says, as they can't get through the Strait of Hormuz and as gas prices are going up, okay, because of an oil drought, no less. But he wants everybody to think that the U.S. is so tough and rough. Yeah, okay. We believe you. We believe you. Now, with that having said, let me just tell you all something. Trump is utterly disgusting. We've got to talk about this grift. He's actually trying to profit off of this war. Okay, we're going to get into that, and I have the receipts. But also, let me just tell you this, because he was just questioned by the reporter about some stolen drones. Did you all hear the reporter ask him about the stolen drones? So that being said, notice how neither he nor the general, lieutenant, whomever he was, notice how neither of them bothered to answer that question directly. So now that they're running out of munitions, drones come up stolen. Yeah, I'm joking, but it actually says they were stolen in November of 2025 from a secured building at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Now that's interesting because I don't recall ever reading that anywhere. But anywho, it says 4 advanced Skydio X-10D surveillance drones were stolen from a secured building in Fort Campbell, Kentucky between November the 21st through the 24th of 2025, with investigations ongoing as of March of 2026. The U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division is offering a $5,000 reward for information on the theft, which involved suspects who accessed a locked storage area. We already know some white folk. If this is all true, we already know some young white men between the ages of 20 and 30. I'm going to say between the ages of, around 20 to 30 years old. We already know the usual suspects, because we already know darn well it's no black people breaking in no secured facility on a military base to steal drones. Okay, that's what we do know, but let me continue. I find it all interesting, to say the least. Now, I'm going to share my screen to let you all see how your president, Donald John Trump, is grifting off of this war. Okay, trying to make a buck. as per usual. Do y'all see this? Please pay attention. This is an email that he sends to his minions. Okay, now I'm not one of his minions, mind you, but you can sign up so you can just know what he's up to. Now listen, it says, I'm making this announcement public for the first time. Donald Trump. Okay, now here's what it's all about, the grift. I made a special announcement to the public an hour ago. For the very first time, I'm opening up spots on the National Security Briefing membership. Say what? How do you get National Security Briefing memberships? Pray tell. Says claim your spot. These final spots are reserved for my strongest supporters. You're one of them. I think not. This is no ordinary membership. As a National Security Briefing member, you'll receive my private national security briefings, unfiltered updates on the threats facing America, the straight truth on border invasions. Honey, you couldn't tell the straight truth if it was hitting you dead in the face. These final spots are reserved for the strongest members. Now, it goes on to say, as a National Security Briefing member, you'll receive my private national security briefings, unfiltered updates, threats facing America. You'll get the inside scoop direct from me, President Trump, the leader who's rebuilt the greatest military in history and put America first like no one else. You mean put Israel first? And I'm sorry, you've weakened the military. It is no longer the greatest. That's why they're losing. Got rid of all those excellent 5-star generals. Anyway, I'm the strong commander who stares down tyrants, obliterates terrorists, and never backs down. This is for the patriots ready to stand with that kind of unbreakable strength, not for the weak or the wavering, he says. Y'all hear this? I am done. Spots are extremely limited to keep it powerful and focused. There goes that word again. They're running out fast since this just went public. Once they're filled, no more, no exceptions. Secure your place in this elite group right now. Join. Okay, for the small fee of $1,000. Do y'all hear it? Do y'all hear this? So you mean to tell me that this devil is selling memberships for national security briefings on the war that he started? This should be against the law, and I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, I'm pretty sure this grift is illegal. How are you selling national security information, Donald J. Trump? Okay, he should be tried for treason, y'all. I'm serious. He should be tried for treason. This is absolutely beyond the pale. Then he said this man is selling national security briefings. Can we please get him out of office? This is treason. Cassandra said, who wrote that for him? Honey, I don't know, but he needs to be stopped. He needs to be stopped before it's too late. Now, if y'all thought that was something, why do you see this? It gets worse. I want y'all to see this, honey, because I absolutely could not believe that he posted this. Now, should we deem this as stolen valor? Because this is absolutely dastardly, in my opinion. I want y'all to see this. Now, we all know that Trump never went into the military, despite being sent to military school by his nefarious father, who was a whole Klansman, by the way, allegedly. Now, look at him. He posted this. This is him in a military uniform, knowing well he never went to the military because he lied and said that he had bone spurs. Do y'all see this? Now he wants to act like he's so tough and rough and takes down terrorists and, oh, you want strength or what? We don't have time for the weak and wavering. You got to be tough and rough. What? Your favorite song is YMCA. Your favorite song is literally YMCA. But you're supposed to be so big and bad. Make it all make sense. Make it all make sense. Can someone please? Can someone please? Honey, I absolutely cannot. Do y'all see him? Look at him. He looks looks more like he's supposed to be in a marching band as opposed to being in the war. Okay, as opposed to being a soldier. Doesn't he look like he should belong in a marching band leading the way? The stupid self. He looks like he needs to go audition for drumline. I know he doesn't think that we're taking this serious. Somebody go change his diaper. I don't have time for it, but let's continue. Anywho, that's y'all's president, honey. Okay? And then let me show you this. This was posted by the White House staff. Songwriter said the Nutcracker. Okay, I absolutely cannot. We the people said, is that a costume or a real uniform? Honey, that was a real uniform. He went to military school. Yeah, that's what he had to wear. Now look, let's go to this next post here. This is what the White House posted. Make it all make sense. This is what the White House posted. Now this is, it says the White House. Okay, it says undefeated. And then what is this? We Nintendo or the Nintendo Wii? Look at him. With a little bull's eye. Okay, this is supposed to represent the war that they're losing, I guess. This is all crazy. This is all crazy. Now let's talk about this crashed aircraft because I have several questions. Okay, if it wasn't shot down and then it wasn't friendly fire, what happened? Yes, it is dangerous. It is really an insult. It's very disrespectful, okay, to do that. And then especially when he started a whole war.
Happening now, chief military personnel are holding a news conference following the deaths of 4 more U.S. airmen during the war with Iran. Let's listen in.
Navy, their missiles, their missile launchers and drones being destroyed or shot out of the sky. Their missile volume is down 90%. Their one-way attack drones yesterday, down 95%. And as the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with, we have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it. We're on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world has never seen before. But it's not just that Iran doesn't have a functioning air force, or that their entire navy is at the bottom of the Persian Gulf, or their missile force is shrinking daily. Even more importantly, they also don't have the ability to build more. That's the most important component.
And you're listening to a special report or press conference, I should say, from the Pentagon. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth there talking about the latest information out of the war.
If he don't sit down somewhere and sitting here playing these childish games, okay? Hold on, beloveds. Let me say thank you to those of you who sent me cash apps. Marcus, that crazy beach Aries, Sheila, Constance, I said Rob, Measured Man, Elsa, Terry Hinton, Shawnee, Kevin, Sheila. Okay, I just want to say thank you, beloveds. I love y'all. Thank you for your kind contributions. Okay, let's continue.
Talking about how we're taking out a lot of the Iranian military, but oil is still not flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, and that's a big issue, too, for economies and, of course, the price of oil. And, of course, breaking news out of the Middle East, the U.S. military says at least 4 U.S. airmen are dead after a U.S. refueling plane went down over Iraq.
ABC's Marcus Moore joins us live from Doha, Qatar with...
Now, they say the fueling plane went down over Iraq, but it wasn't shot down. I can't wait to hear this excuse.
What we know so far about this crash as the war stretches now into its 14th day. Marcus.
Hey, Irene, Rachel, and John, good morning. Russia now stands to cash in on this oil crisis here in the Middle East, and we have new indications that Iran is sabotaging the Strait of Hormuz that you heard the secretary talking about just a moment ago. But the big headline this morning is that American plane crashing in Iraq.
Overnight, rescue efforts underway after a refueling plane went down in Iraq. The KC-135 aircraft is part of military operations against Iran, but officials say the crash was not because of hostile or friendly fire. Central Command says 2 aircraft were involved. The other plane landed safely. Officials say 4 of the 6 crew members on board the plane are confirmed dead. The 135 is not equipped with parachutes. Meanwhile, Iran's new supreme leader has issued his first public statement through a woman on state TV, vowing Iran will continue targeting global oil supplies by blocking the critical Strait of Hormuz. Just one day after striking oil tankers in the Persian Gulf, the New York Times reports Iran has now started laying more mines in the strait. President Trump earlier this week threatened to hit Iran, quote, 20 times harder if it blocked oil shipments. Any U.S. Navy escorts for ships are likely weeks away. But overnight, a new move from the U.S. Oil prices dropping slightly after the U.S. government issued a temporary license that will allow countries to buy more oil from Russia.
Those barrels are going to end up in China anyway. It is unfortunate, and we hope that it will be in a micro period that they will benefit.
The U.S. and dozens of other countries already announced they're releasing 400 million barrels of oil from emergency reserves. But analysts warn that will likely do little to cool prices.
And John, Rachel, and Irene, overnight, a Russian official bragged about Russia making money off of this war, claiming Moscow is earning $150 million per day since the war began. He said, quote, "This is just the beginning of the largest energy crisis ever."
Now, mind you, didn't I tell you all a week or so ago that Russia, I said the only one really benefiting from this war is Putin? And that's before they told them to buy the oil from Russia. I want y'all to pay attention. Trump's sitting up here helping Putin to make money after Putin, his people were giving intelligence to Iran. And Trump came out the other day, I do believe it was him or somebody in his camp said that that's not true, that Putin wasn't helping them. Oh, he wasn't. Isn't he from Russia? Okay, because they said Russia was helping them. Okay, please, make it all make sense, the lies. Anyway, let's continue. Now, let's go back to when he was being so darn rude to Zelensky. Remember how he went off on that man? Went in on that man, then had the nerve to ask for help. And then to add insult to injury, he's still licking Putin's boots. Okay, that's what he's doing.
You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what,
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had no.
That man is sitting there in Putin's main enemy's face praising Putin. Baby, if I was Zelensky, I probably would have knocked Let me just be quiet, honey, okay? I find it interesting. Lorraine said he told Zelensky to sit his $5 ace down before he makes change. I am so through, honey. Okay, they don't respect him. Jack Gray said, Queen, he needs to ask for help. Biden spent all kinds of money. Yeah, Biden did. He sent a lot of money to Ukraine. But nonetheless, I'm sorry. Trump talking to that man like that, he has no business ask that man for a damn thing, in my opinion, okay? If he asked me for it after talking to me like that, he would have got a resounding no. Okay? Or I would have told him yes and then didn't do it. Okay, please pay attention at the end of the day. Here, let me just go to this AI video of Zelensky and Trump. Also, let me look for the one that where Iran was trolling Trump.
How much more is the United States willing to give Ukraine? And President Zelensky, how much more do you want?
Well, I'll start off just by saying we're not giving anything now. We're selling weapons. This is something before, I guess the number is well over $300 billion. That was under Joe Biden, a corrupt politician, not a smart man, never was. By the way, go back 40 years. He was not a smart man 40 years ago either, but now he's in particular bad. This was done by a corrupt administration that shouldn't have been in. And frankly, if the right results of the election were given, if I were president, this war would have never taken place. And he would have been very happy because he would have liked to have seen. I mean, they went through hell. He went through hell. This war would have never happened. And the people that were killed, a couple of million people, a lot of people with soldiers and everything else, and the people that have been displaced and forced into other areas and other countries because of what's happened, none of that would have happened. And I'm just saying that he was a horrible president, whether it was the borders or this. He was just a horrible, corrupt president.
Thank you so much. So first of all, we have possibility now to buy weapons from the United States. We are thankful for this program and this opportunity. We are thankful for Europe. They pay for this. And through NATO program, for example, Pearl and etc., we have some programs where we can have some money to finance this. And this is a part, I think, it's not a part for the.
You all listen to this. Okay, so I had y'all listen to that because I was trying to find this video, but listen, how about they're saying, you all know that video that I showed you of Benjamin Netanyahu last night where he was giving a statement? You know, in the back of my mind, something was telling me that that video was probably AI and they probably made that because he's nowhere to be found, right? Is he still in that bunker? But they're saying that man is dead and that they're using AI to try to act like he's still here. Oh, honey, I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, all praises be to the Most High. Okay, hold on. I'm about to pull it up right now. Did y'all hear that? I find this all interesting. Hold on, beloveds. They said Trump falls apart after getting trolled. Hold on, let me pull this out. I'm going to send all this to my email. Everybody is just clowning the U.S. I hate it. Okay, now let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go. You know, Biden is sitting back saying, if you voted for Trump, you're not black. You know, I was thinking.
We're claiming that Netanyahu is dead because of this video that was released by Israel last night. People are saying he has 6 fingers on his right hand. But if you zoom in, I believe this is just his palm right here. What do you think? So people are claiming that Netanyahu is dead.
Let me say is. Like I told you all, I was thinking that it possibly was AI, but that's what I kept looking at. I kept looking at his fingers, and I didn't see anything wrong with them. Because usually how you can tell something is AI, at least how I tell most of the time, is the hands. The fingers are never accurate. I don't know why, but they usually can't get the fingers right. Okay, so his hands look normal to me, so I was like, maybe it's him, but you never know.
Because of this video that was released by Israel last night. People are saying he has 6 fingers on his right hand. But if you zoom in, I believe this is just his palm right here. What do you think? So people are claiming that Netanyahu is dead because of this video that was released by Israel last night. People are saying he has 6 fingers on his right hand. But if you zoom in,
Hold on, beloveds. Let me upload one more video. I'm almost done. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, there we go. So anyway, with that all being said, honey, it would just be too good to be true if he was out of here. Okay? It would just be too good to be true. Now let's go to this report from TMZ from about 15 hours ago, where they say FBI veteran reveals how Iran could strike the U.S. Now, because this is TMZ, of course, I'm going to use an overlay. But of course, DC said they're lying. Okay, here we go.
Former FBI Special Agent Jeff Harp, who has spent the majority of his career analyzing national security threats and complex criminal networks. Mr. Harp, thank you so much for joining me today.
Sure, no problem.
So the main headline that is across the media with regards to Iran right now is the FBI bulletin. Obviously, the FBI had announced that at one point or another, Iran, in their terminology, was aspired to conduct a surprise attack on United States soil using drone strikes. Now, starting off, how realistic is this threat? And is it within the realm of possibilities for Iran to conduct this attack, given the current resources at their disposal?
Well, that's a great question. One of the things that I always like to point out when talking about Iran is the fact it is the largest state sponsor of terrorism. I read through the memo. The things that come to my mind is that, you know, we look at the very first bombing campaign that took place in June. The months, days, and weeks leading up to that, all of the FBI investigations with respect to Iranian activity were scrubbed to make certain that the FBI and the intelligence community knew what those folks were doing who were involved in those investigations. I've had some people ask me, well, this was, you know, they got this information in February. Why is it just now coming out? There's a lot of things that go into the bulletin: level of confidence, reliability, you know, imminent threat. All these things are looked at before this information is even disseminated.
Does the intelligence community believe that Iran would limit these attacks to places like military bases, or would they also target civilian infrastructure like ports, refineries, and power grids, things to that effect?
Yeah, I think what you got to look at is what's the most likely target and the easiest target. They're not going to look for complex targets that are heavily guarded. And especially whenever a bulletin like this comes out, you're going to see that military installations, government facilities are more closely watched. The other thing that happens is you're going to see that, you know, regular civilians are going to be more aware of their surroundings because now they've seen this bulletin and they're worrisome.
Given everything you've seen, so, you know, just to sort of restate my question, how realistic is the threat of a foreign attack on U.S. soil?
In the complex manner that the bulletin put out, I don't think is very realistic. I think the more realistic thing is a vehicle-borne IED or something more simple, and certainly targeting soft targets, not these hardened facilities that some people think about.
When you say soft targets, what do you mean?
Well, if you think about things like, and I don't want to sensationalize and give people ideas, but when you look at places like, you know, soccer games, football games, big festivals, mass gatherings, you know, we recently had an attempted attack in New York where there was just a protest going on. So anytime you have a large volume of bodies present in one area without a security structure in place, then that becomes a soft target.
Sleeper cells are obviously a huge concern of the U.S. government and the intelligence community. Are you, it almost sounds like you're intimating that that would probably be a more likely threat than an international attack. Would you say that's accurate?
What's that say? This is for real. Your debt is completely wiped off.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate. When you start talking about sleeper cells, that's it. It's a terminology that a lot of people like to throw out there for unknown people that, may be posed as a threat and an attack. If you look back, some of these recent attacks we've had where, they talk about the lone wolf, people who are self-radicalized in their own homes. Mm-hmm. Sleeper cells simply just mean that there is a possibility that people have come across the border or here presently. They did come here legally and they've been either radicalized on their own or they're part of a group and they're waiting for some sort of command and control notification that makes them go operational.
Are there any holes in the US's national security system that should cause civilians concern?
Well, I don't want to say there's holes, but there's always the idea of, was information shared quick enough? Was it shared with the right resources? And I think there's a balancing act that goes on there. Certainly when you talk about national security investigations that are utilizing sophisticated, sensitive techniques, how do we share this information without compromising our sources and methods?
Mm-hmm. Bulletin uses some pretty interesting language. It says that Iran aspired to conduct an attack on U.S. soil in the event that the U.S. would strike Iran. Now that's happened. And it says that it would be a surprise attack. But if we struck Iran and they struck us back, that sounds retaliatory. That doesn't sound like a surprise attack. So what does the language tell you about how the FBI is perceiving this threat?
Well, what I think it's telling me is the fact that they are unclear as to the credibility and the reliability of the source of information. Certainly when these bulletins go out, they look at that. They look at what is the level of credibility with the source. And it's actually graded before it goes out: low, medium, high level of credibility or confidence level. And if you have a high confidence level, that's, a lot of times that comes from a human source that's got, past history of reporting things reliably, or it comes from signal intelligence or electronic eavesdropping. So there's a whole lot of things that go into it.
Given the United States defense system, how would it be possible for them to conduct an international attack on U.S. soil? Given the technology at our disposal, are there not radars that detect this? Do we not have, things that can intercept these drones?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that sort of is misleading when people start looking at these bulletins and sensationalizing, oh my God, what could happen? They look at these drones and they think about the military battlefield where we are using sophisticated drones and predators and things like that. And we see where the Iranian manufactured drones are being used over on the battlefield in Ukraine. That's not what I think that the biggest concern is here. Do they have that capability? Well, think about that. They would have to have something that would deliver that device to American soil without being tracked and without people noticing. It's an unlikely event. The more likely event is they would use simplistic devices such as hobby drones, which are pretty sizable now, and you can use those for a variety of nefarious reasons. And I think that's the bigger concern that I would have.
Why wouldn't they plan an attack in, say, New York of all places, where there are a lot of politicians, there's Wall Street?
Yeah, and they very well could. And that's what I mean when you start thinking about these sleeper cells. These people don't congregate in one place, and they're often dispersed throughout the U.S. I'll go back to 9/11, and I did a lot of work on those investigations, working at counterterrorism FBI headquarters. We looked and we tracked those folks all across the U.S., different flight schools all around the U.S., and they didn't just participate in one place, because now you start raising the level of suspicion. I don't think that you can isolate and maybe point out that California is the only place, but California is a place where largest state with a whole lot of people.
There is a nuclear power plant in San Luis Obispo. It's the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant. Would that be, and it kind of goes back to my question earlier, but would that be a target for Iran here? And how heavily guarded would that be?
All of our nuclear facilities could be a target, but you got to think about how difficult it would be to penetrate something like that, and how large of a device it would take to get close enough to a facility like that to cause damage.
Okay. Okay, so now with that all being said, beloveds, um, that gentleman was asking pretty good questions, in my opinion. And then the last thing he asked was, should the American people be afraid? And he basically responded saying that we should go back to the same adage that we had at 9/11, during 9/11, where if you see something, say something. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, Miss E711 said, I live less than 10 minutes away from a nuclear power plant. Really? That's interesting. Well, he did say that he thinks there's a low probability of them hitting a nuclear power plant. Um, let's go to this report from MS Now. Lying to the American people. Pentagon reportedly restricts access amid Trump's war in Iran. So they're not letting the reporters in, likely. Let's get into it. I mean, they have to paint their narratives. That's what they have to do. They have to paint their narratives to try to make themselves look good rather than telling the truth and being transparent.
Attack in Kuwait that killed 6 U.S. service members last week, and the details suggest that the injuries to U.S. service members from that attack are more severe than previously revealed. According to CBS News reporting, dozens of troops suffered, quote, injuries including brain trauma, shrapnel wounds, and burns. At least one may require the amputation of a limb, and more than 30 military members remained in hospitals Tuesday night. That kind of reporting underscores how crucial the journalists covering the war and the Pentagon are, especially at a moment like this. Yet Pete Hegseth's department is intensifying its restrictions on journalists. After Pete Hegseth appeared at a press briefing last week, 3 days after the initial strikes on Iran, his first appearance at a briefing since June, photographers were banned by the Pentagon. Washington Post reports that, quote, several outlets, including the Associated Press, Reuters, and Getty Images, sent photographers to the briefing from Hegseth and General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But after they published photos, which have broad reach because they are licensed by publications globally, members of Pete Hegseth's staff told colleagues that they did not like the way the secretary looked. Pete Hegseth's aides decided to shut out photographers from the 2 subsequent briefings at the Pentagon on March 4th and March 10th, according to the 2 people familiar with the decision. The Pentagon says that the journalists were banned in order to use the space more effectively. I want to bring in Politico Pentagon reporter Paul McCleary. Tim Miller is still here as well. Paul, what do you hear the state of the Pentagon, or tell me from your experience, what is the state of being in the Pentagon press corps?
Well, we're not allowed in the building anymore, really, except for briefings like this, and we're kind of escorted in and then escorted out right after the press conference. And Hegseth has generally been calling on his kind of new favorite outlets, the new Pentagon press corps, I guess you could call it, of conservative and right wing outlets that they've brought in and credentialed. And he's been calling on them for these press conferences. And I mean, the thing with the photos, Hegseth's tenure here has been, a lot of it has been performative, right? I mean, I think since the beginning, he's kind of camera ready.
Now I want you all to pay attention to something, okay? He just said, I'm going to roll it back in case you missed it, but he literally just said that Hegseth's performance during his tenure has been pretty much performative. It has. And that's the reason the title on my thumbnail says exactly that, performative. Because that's exactly the first thing that came to my mind when I watched that briefing this morning. And then he started talking about God bless you and may you be praised and this and that. I'm like, dude, stop it with all the biblical talk because you're a whole devil. He was just putting on a show. That's what him and Trump have been doing. So I absolutely agree, okay?
Been performative, right? I mean, I think since the beginning, he's kind of camera ready, ready to do this stuff. But then if, they're very concerned about image, and if something doesn't look right, if it's not produced the way that they wanted to produce it, then they clearly don't want it out there and they don't want it to happen. That's why it's so tightly controlled. I mean, he doesn't bring reporters with him on trips. Not that he travels really overseas anymore, but they've shut all that down unless they can control it.
Yeah, because they want to control the narrative and make it look like they're just winning when they're losing. Okay, Lisa says, I think if we were hit, more than likely it would be an inside job, just my opinion. Yes, honey, please. We already know that Bibi's people have a nefarious history, like I told you all yesterday, of false flags. Okay, which is exactly what I think happened with that whole situation that we just spoke about the other day. That's just what I think. Okay, I think it was them hitting their own place, as per usual.
You know, every moment.
What were the pictures that he didn't like?
It's unclear exactly what these photos are. I mean, you know, when you see Hegseth out there, he looks, a lot of times when he speaks, he kind of furrows his brow. He kind of looks angry a lot of times. I think they probably don't like that.
Yeah, they didn't want him looking angry because that's the look of defeat. Okay, that's the agony of defeat written all over his face. And so they said, no, that's not a good look. Y'all can't put those pictures out. Let me tell you all something. This is how you know they're performative and worried about the wrong darn thing. So we're out here with a whole war that they waged, okay, with no good reason. And now you're sitting there concerned about how you look in a photo. That's what he's worried about. Anyway, Lisa Jackson, thank you for your insight into the topic, beloved, and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings.
It's not a good look. But wherever he goes, there's several people, staffers following him around with video cameras and still cameras, and they're constantly filming these kind of campaign-style ads for him, right? He does his very tightly scripted 2 or 3 minute videos from his office once or twice a week, announcing his the new initiatives that he's pushing out. So they don't like anything that they don't control, which is not surprising. I mean, that's every administration does that to a certain degree. But they are really, clearly, if they don't even allow photographers that they don't pay into the room, they want to control everything, every image and every utterance.
What is your understanding of why it took so long to inform the public about the 140 men and women who've been injured?
I mean, it's a huge number, right? And things like that, I will say, always take time. They need to get it right. They need to get the right number. So those always take some time. But it was days, right, before we had any sense of how bad some of these attacks were. We really didn't know. And it's usually a little faster than this. And they finally came out with a number several days after the fact, right? And I think some of these soldiers, as we've seen and we've reported, are pretty critically injured, and it's pretty gruesome stuff, you know. So I think again, this was supposed to be a clean war from the U.S. perspective, right? Airstrikes, no boots on the ground, things like that. So they were not counting on casualties, I think, and I think they didn't really know how to handle it. I mean, in Venezuela, obviously the one pilot was shot in the leg. He got the Medal of Honor, but most of these U.S. military operations under Trump have been without casualty free. And so that's tough. Once you start taking casualties, people start raising questions, and it's tougher to judge.
Okay, we've heard enough of that. Yeah, I don't know how they thought they wouldn't have any casualties. You know, I'm going to tell you this. For Trump to have thought that, which clearly he may have, you know, he did say that they would be in and out in 4 to 5 days. You see, here's the biggest mistake that you can make during a time of war. This is the biggest mistake you can make. That is to underestimate your opponent. Who does that? To underestimate your opponent. You should always hope for the best, but expect the worst outcome so that you're prepared mentally, strategically, and physically. Okay? What an idiot. What an idiot. I absolutely cannot. I should probably run for president my darn self. I mean, if Trump can get in there, surely they could put me in office. Please, I have a lot more sense. Okay? I mean, I'm more qualified than the people in his administration for the jobs they all have. Even for Pete Hegseth's job, I'm more qualified than he is. That's a fact. Okay, I should be the Secretary of War. Please pay attention. Then we wouldn't be in one. Okay? Make it all make sense.
As the Council fails to discharge its duties, Iran has no choice but to exercise its inherent right to self-defense under UN Charter and international law. Iran fully respects and remains committed to the principles of freedom of navigation under the law of the sea. However, the current situation in the region, including in the Strait of Hormuz, is not the result of Iran's lawful exercise of its right of self-defense. Rather, it is the direct consequence of the destabilizing actions of the United States in launching aggression against Iran and undermining regional security. I thank you.
Secretary said that it's perhaps the U.S. Navy with a coalition would be perhaps escorting vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Can you respond to that?
No, just no, I have no response for that. Iran is going its inherent right to preserve the peace and security in the Strait of Hormuz, and it is our responsibility.
What's the level of the relation between the Kurdistan region of Iraq and Iran these days, especially after the claims there might be a ground operation by the Kurds, but they declined that? And what's your response to that?
We had a serious negotiation with the regional government of the Kurdistan in Iraq, and they told us that they will remain and they are not going to allow any illegal transfer from their territory to the Iranian soil.
The new Supreme Leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, has said that they want to make sure that the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, and now you said that you support freedom of navigation. Can you clarify Iran's position now, what it is, why?
I said we are not going to close the Strait of Hormuz, but it is our inherent right to preserve the peace and security in this waterway, and it is our right.
He said they're not going to close it, but it's already closed. He said they're not going to close it, but it is already closed. And here's the thing. People need to stop it. Okay, because during that briefing this morning, that lieutenant or general, whoever he was, he basically said something along the lines of, he said, he said Iran, and they're the ones closing the Strait of Hormuz or something like that. And he basically was trying to say that they're the reason people are not getting any oil. Well, here's the thing. No, they're not. The U.S. is the reason. Like for every consequence or for every action, there's a consequence. For every action, there's a reaction. What did they think these people were going to do? But as I told you, they grossly underestimated their opponent. They didn't think that Iran would close the Strait of Hormuz because they felt like that would be negatively impact them as well. But clearly, they decided to use that as punishment against them. And, now they're just going to have to deal with it, period. Okay, period. Now let's go to this Australian senator who goes in on Trump. I think I played this yesterday, but let's listen to it again. Okay, and then we'll move on. I love it when anybody goes in on Trump.
Aren't you embarrassed? This is the guy you've hitched us to at the hip. I mean, he is a fascist, war criminal, fantasist, and you have hitched our country at the hip to him, cheering these horrors on. Remember.
Okay, no lies detected. Vince I am from the UK says Sleepy Joe and now Trump. Not Tramp. Have missed out on hiring the queen. They never learn. Beloved, you are something else, okay? Not Tramp. Now, with that all being said, listen to this clown here. Okay, this is Cash Patel basically telling America to prioritize Bibi's people. See, this is what I'm saying. They just all but come out and tell us that America doesn't come first. Bibi's people come first. Okay? Bibi's people come first. I want y'all to pay attention.
Up and prioritize Israel.
Say what?
We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel.
Bunch of sellouts, okay? Bunch of ignorant sellouts prioritize Israel. I'm sorry, shouldn't America prioritize their own people first? How does that make a bit of sense? Do you think that you would ever hear Satan Yahoo utter those words in reverse and say, oh, we need the Israelis to wake up and prioritize America first? You think you'd ever hear them say that? I guarantee you they wouldn't, and who would? Because you'd have to be absolutely obtuse to even suggest such a thing about a whole nother country rather than your own. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about these tankers on fire, honey. While they're sitting here talking about they done took out the whole Navy, the airstrikes is over with. They've taken out the aircraft. But meanwhile, our aircraft's falling out of the sky over Kuwait. Nobody knows why. I'm sorry, over Iraq. And nobody seems to know why. It wasn't shot down. It wasn't friendly fire, just fell. And now 4 servicemen and women are dead. Like, that makes sense.
On defense over the economic and energy impacts of this Iran war. We've been seeing the images of these tankers on fire in the Strait of Hormuz. Really dramatic, dangerous imagery. This is what is happening over there. Trump has been largely denying it, at times lying about it. I want to bring back our financial expert, CNBC veteran, MS colleague veteran, Dylan Ratigan, on these economic impacts in Iran. We, of course, went out to take some important breaking news, but you were just starting to explain the fact that this isn't new and this isn't secret intelligence to understand the impact and the risks of the United States of the Iran's ability to mess with that.
Yeah, well, the Straits of Hormuz, everybody knows. I mean, it's been talked about ad nauseum. Like I said, we used to do entire hours about this particular little body of water decades ago, is a known choke point for the world's energy supplies. This couldn't be more widely known. I think what's most striking, many things are striking about the current political situation with this war, but the lack of planning. The fact that they didn't fill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve before they did this, which is something you could easily have done, and the fact that they didn't have a very explicit plan to control the Straits of Hormuz are just two of the more extreme examples. I mean, listen, there's 2 completely separate issues here. One, the technology of war has advanced to the point where it can no longer be tolerated as something on the earth. It's a different meeting, different people. That's not my area of expertise, but it's quite obvious when you can rack up tens of thousands of $50,000 or $25,000 drones that are like flying VW buses that can explode through any window of any city in the world. You can know it might as well be. It's no longer useful. I mean, there's a great Bill Barr stand-up where he's like, how is murdering people, especially women and children, random people in cities, considered a rational solution to conflict resolution between governments? But anyway,
let me give you some credit. You're taking it deeper. You're saying we, particularly as a superpower, ought to be the leaders in the world of finding ways to resolve conflict without resorting to the worst case.
What I'm saying is
which
the
is killing
technology
people.
has advanced to the point. So Napoleon is the king, right? But Napoleon, if he had an issue, would get a bunch of people on horses and ride over for 6 months.
Okay, so now let's talk about this USS Lincoln that was attacked. Because I didn't hear Hegseth say anything about this. He's sitting there talking about them destroying the Navy and all that. He should have been telling us what happened with this ship.
Two U.S. aircraft carriers, the USS Abraham Lincoln and the USS Gerald R. Ford, have become the focus of a rapidly escalating information battle in the Middle East. As Washington expands its naval presence under Operation Epic Fury, competing narratives are spreading across global media. Claims of damaged warships, sabotage, and retreat are circulating widely. But the facts behind those reports tell a more complex story.
So let me just say that, hold on. The infamous Mortimer says Marty Marr says, oh, they're not going to mention that, Queen, because it's embarrassing. Exactly. Okay, he didn't say one word about the Lincoln aircraft that was attacked, nor the ship that caught on fire. And then how did it catch on fire? Okay, I would like to know.
Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claimed its naval forces targeted the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea with missiles and drones. According to statements from Tehran's Seal of the Prophet's headquarters, the carrier suffered damage and was forced to withdraw from the operational zone.
Sorry, Buckhorst DC, sit down. Buckhorst DC said, damn, they hit the Lincoln? Like he knows exactly which one it is. Sit down. Sit down somewhere. Like you've actually been on it or something.
U.S. Central Command has rejected that account. American officials say the carrier remains operational and continues to conduct flight operations. However, both sides confirm that a confrontation did occur at sea. A U.S. Navy surface ship fired its Mark 45 deck gun at an approaching Iranian vessel, though the round did not hit the target. Following the warning shot, a U.S. attack helicopter engaged the Iranian boat and fired 2 Hellfire missiles, striking the vessel. The encounter illustrates how quickly tensions around major naval deployments can escalate in the crowded waters of the Arabian Sea. Separately, reports also emerged about a fire aboard the USS Gerald Ford in the Red Sea. Some viral narratives suggested sabotage by sailors frustrated by the carrier's extended deployment. Those claims spread quickly across social media and state-backed outlets. The U.S. Navy says the incident was an accidental fire in the ship's laundry facilities and not related to combat or sabotage. The blaze was contained.
Did y'all hear this? Now, I'm sorry, how many lies are they going to tell? They said that it was a fire in the laundry area of the ship that accidentally started and the fire was contained. A fire in the laundry. That's what we're supposed to believe. Now, I find it interesting they're having all these mishaps during a time of war. Do they not realize how stupid they sound making up these excuses? So an aircraft carrier falls from the sky, not shot down, not hit by friendly fire. Okay, really no good explanation. 4 servicemen dead. Now they're saying that the ship caught fire because of the laundry room. So no one struck the ship? Perhaps. Okay, let's continue because the lies just keep coming.
Propulsion systems were unaffected, and the carrier remains mission capable. The episode highlights a broader reality of modern conflicts. Alongside military deployments, competing narratives and information campaigns now shape how every incident at sea is perceived.
A major incident has struck the United States military during its ongoing war operations in the Middle East. A Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker has crashed in western Iraq during the U.S. campaign known as Operation Epic Fury. According to the United States Central Command, the crash occurred in friendly airspace and involved 2 aircraft, with one going down while the other landed safely. Rescue efforts were immediately launched at the crash site. The KC-135 Stratotanker is a critical aerial refueling aircraft that allows fighter jets and bombers to stay in combat for long durations without landing. Built by Boeing, the aircraft has been the backbone of the U.S. military's air refueling fleet since the Cold War era. The aircraft usually carries a crew of a pilot, a co-pilot, and a boom operator. However, officials say the status of the crew involved in the crash remains unknown. In its initial statement, CENTCOM said the crash was not caused by hostile fire or friendly fire, but described the event simply as an incident. Officials confirmed that 2 aircraft were involved in the situation, though details of the second aircraft have not been revealed. The second plane managed to land safely, while the tanker crashed in western Iraq. The crash comes amid escalating conflict across the Middle East as the United States continues military operations against Iran.
So, I just find it interesting that everything that happens is just some sort of mishap. Like they must not be taking any losses, right? Let's continue. Now, this is a report from Hindustan Times. Okay, they're talking about Iran's oil threat to U.S. and Israel. Trump and Netanyahu risk world economy in war. It's exactly what these fools are doing. That's right. Juju said a whole mess. Okay? Absolutely.
که آمریکا و همپیمانان غربی در آن ذی‌نفع هستند به آتش کشیده می شود و نابود می گردد.
Now I want you all to pay attention because you see there has been at least 16 ships, cargo oil ships that have been attacked, okay, since February the 28th. They're not letting them ships through. They're blowing them up, attacking them, and also they're laying mines like I told you. And then, but Pete Heck said he just saw that one blow up. This fool wants to sit here and say, oh, we've heard them trying to, basically discount it or just dismiss it. Talking about we've heard them saying something about that.
به دولت متجاوز و کلیه همپیمانان آن اخطار می‌دهیم. کوچکترین حمله به زیرساخت‌های انرژی و بنادر جمهوری اسلامی ایران پاسخ کوبنده و ویران کننده ما را به دنبال خواهد داشت. در صورت چنین تجاوزی همه زیرساخت‌های نفت و گاز منطقه که آمریکا و همپیمانان غربی در آن ذی‌نفع هستند به آتش کشیده می‌شود و نابود می‌گردد.
The 40th wave of True Promise 4 operation was carried out under the blessed code name Ya Amir al-Mu'minin, peace be upon him, involving the launch of Qadr, Ahmad, Kibar, and Fatah missiles. The strikes targeted Tel Aviv, occupied Al-Quds, Haifa, and American bases in the region, including Al-Azraq and Al-Kharaj, in coordination with Islamic resistance forces. Following a series of takedowns of enemy hostile drones, the ground forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran Army targeted an American MQ-9 drone in the General Kerman area a few hours ago. The incident that occurred at the port of Salalah in our friendly and brotherly neighboring country, Oman, appears highly suspicious. The Islamic Republic of Iran is currently investigating this matter. The armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran respect the security and national sovereignty of Oman.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you like this. Those people mean business, honey. Okay, I would not want to be doing battle with them. They have a totally different mindset, in my opinion. Okay? They have a totally different mindset. And I just would not be wanting to go to war with them. And Hex said sitting here just trying to act like everything's just peaches and cream. I mean, how long do you think that, that is going to last? Just putting on a show. Now let's go to this clip where they were trolled by Iran, or Trump was trolled. They say he's very upset by all of this too. He's very infuriated at this point that they're trolling him about Epstein. Okay, well, I have to say, um, that animation basically just shows the wrath that they intend to bring down. Okay, these people are infuriated. Can you imagine those 180 civilian people, mostly children? These people are ticked off, okay? They are ticked off. So with that all being said, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now let's go to some of these TikTok clips of people just going in on Trump. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go.
That Iran just released, and tell me what you noticed at the very end.
Why did you attack the Naval school?
Lie! We didn't hit the Naval school. America doesn't have Tomahawk missiles at all.
Also, tell me what you saw in the background when he pressed the lie button. Look at this video that Iran just released, and tell me what you noticed at the
Hold on, you all see if you notice what he's talking about in the background. I'm going to let it play again.
very end.
Why did you attack the Naval school?
We didn't hit the Naval school. America doesn't have Tomahawk missiles at all.
Also, tell me what you saw in the background when he pressed the lie button. Look at this.
Did y'all see that in the background? It had Epstein. It had Epstein. So they're basically saying that's why he started the war in this cartoon as well. Okay, it had Epstein's name right there. Just another distraction. Now this guy says Trump falls apart after he gets trolled. Because one thing about Trump, you know, he really concerns himself with what people think of him. That's why he tries to talk so big and bad, trying to impress everybody. But no one with sense is ever impressed by his lies.
Iran has put out a propaganda video attacking Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, and I guess technically to a lesser degree, Satan. In this little cartoon video that they put out, which is actually made Lego style, you see a big explosion, and then you see an Iranian soldier clutching a child's backpack. Now, if the video had ended there, everything would be like, wow, that's a pretty massive troll operation. But then the video shows Iran shooting missiles and killing people over in Israel in response. So this is pure propaganda. This is absolutely disgusting. You know, it started off pretty funny and accurate. Then it got truly disturbing there. But Iran is basically making sure that their people know that Donald Trump is killing our children to distract from the Epstein files. And a lot of folks obviously here in the United States also believe that.
Yeah, because it's true. And here's the thing. He said it was disgusting when he showed them striking Israel. Well, I'm sorry, isn't Israel striking them? Okay. What's good for the goose is always good for the gander. I didn't see anything wrong with it. In fact, I thought it was funny. Okay, period. Now, with that all being said, let's continue, because here's another person who seems to think that, quite frankly, Satan Yahoo might not be around any longer. You know, I'm not going to get my hopes up because he's probably still here, unfortunately.
So, since when does Benjamin Netanyahu have 6 fingers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, are we sure that this interview that's just been on the world stage, everyone's talking about it, are we sure that this is real? I mean, we have literally got hundreds of reports coming in saying that Benjamin Netanyahu isn't with us anymore. Which would make a lot of sense to this video being AI, so that they can tell the world that he's still with us. And of course, we have put it through the AI detector, and it is saying that it's only 15% real and 85% digitally edited. Like, you know, for the sensory reasons, we are not making any claims here. We are just counting.
Okay, so the AI generator said it's like 15% real and 85% fake. Okay. Like I said, I'm not going to get my hopes up, but you know, hopefully he is somewhere laying in a box made of wood. Okay.
This man in the Oval Office in front of millions after this man was told he needs to wear a suit, after this man was told to just give up parts of his country because you know what? They've already taken it. After this man has been accused of not holding elections, even though his country is being bombed, after Republican content creators have flown to that country to try to accuse Ukraine of not even actually having a war, stating that the war is fake, after repeatedly trying to pull out of NATO, the US government is asking Ukraine for their help with Iran, stating that yes, Ukraine, hey, Zelensky, I know you guys are experts in drones. Can you please help us with Iran? After all that, and Ukraine still says yes. Here's the thing, Republicans, that piss me off about you. For the past 2 years, you have tried saying that we need to pull out of NATO, Ukraine is not our problem, and we don't need anyone's help but the US fighting wars. The US has it. We should be an isolationist nation. We don't need any other country's help. Then tell me why we are asking Zelensky for help with fighting the drones or dealing with drones in Iran. Can you also, because this also happened, by the way, can you also let us know, if we don't need the help of any other countries, why Trump got so furious when asking Spain, hey, can we use your bases? Spain said no. Why would you care that Spain said no? You said we don't need NATO. You said we don't need any other countries, that America is the only one. That's all we need is America. You guys are ridiculous. Leave it to MAGA to ruin foreign relations and then drag us into a war and then go back to those foreign nations and be like, hey, anyways, we need your help. After shitting on them for the past 2 years.
Okay, how stupid is he? How stupid is he? Yeah, he talked all that trash, bullied people, said disparaging things, even though he's the last one who should ever say anything disparaging about anyone. Okay, look at him. But nonetheless, this is absolutely what he did. Now he has to go and ask these same people for help. And what does he expect? Okay, to tell him his behind? No. Anyway, Zelensky can go right ahead and help him, which I would not. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's go to this next clip. Where Blumenthal, hold on, do I want to go to Blumenthal first? Hold on, beloveds. I don't want to listen to Fox News. I don't feel like hearing the lies and BS. Okay, let's go to Jeffrey Sachs. Says U.S. and Israel underestimated Iran. Yeah, they did, clearly. Much to their detriment. This is from about 3 hours ago. It's a whole mess.
Supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei, his statement was the first since he was elected by the Assembly of Experts. It was read on Iranian television. He called for unity among Iranians, and he said the martyrs will be avenged. And he also called on all U.S. bases in the Persian Gulf to be closed immediately, or they will continue to be attacked. He said the Straits of Hormuz, that vital sea route, will remain closed. Seems like he's taking a very hard line, not in the mood for any kind of compromise or negotiation. Given that, where do you see this heading?
Well, what kind of negotiation? Iran tried to negotiate twice. Both times it was bombed by Israel and the United States. Iran is under a absolutely brutal attack. It's under carpet bombing. The U.S. and Israel are destroying infrastructure. They murdered this man's father and the leaders of the Iranian government. They are killing thousands of people. So exactly what is to be negotiated? This is a brutal war of aggression by Israel and the United States, and Iran is responding. And it's not surprising that they are responding. They're under threat of conquest, basically. That was what Trump said, that he would pick the new leader, that Israel and the United States would run Iran. Well, the Iranian people have a different view, clearly. They're showing up by the millions to say that they don't want to be run by the United States and Israel.
Can you imagine that? Him and Satan Yahoo, the devil himself, thinking they're going to run Iran? This is how delusional these two psychopaths are. Okay? This is how delusional these two idiots are. Please pay attention. They literally thought they were going to be running Iran. Please.
Right, and President Trump is also claiming that the United States has won this war. That's what he says. Yet we see the missile attacks continue by Iran, by Israel, by the United States. I mean, do you envision any scenario in which the United States can declare victory when we don't even know what its objective is?
Well, yes, I see a scenario where they can declare victory. Trump does so. He says things for the immediate moment or for show or because he believes them. We're never absolutely sure which it is. But is there a way to real victory by the United States? No, this is a disaster for the United States. It is a disaster for the whole world. The U.S. and Israel have thrown the entire world into turmoil, perhaps into World War III. This was a brazen, violent, ill thought out, to say the least, move by these two countries. And now we're all suffering the consequences of this.
We absolutely are. Okay? We absolutely are. Nene said drunk with imaginary power. Okay?
You say we could be in World War III. There are already more than a dozen countries involved in this conflict, most of them in the Persian Gulf. Do you see it expand to other parts of the world as well?
Well, the United States is at war in many places. It is at war in the Western Hemisphere. It invaded Venezuela. It's talking openly about invading Cuba, which it's currently blockading. Trump just met with Latin American leaders and talked about other military operations in the Western Hemisphere. Trump has threatened to invade Greenland. The United States is still heavily engaged in war with Russia in Ukraine. We have war spreading through the Middle East. Israel is invading more countries. We have the war of Pakistan and Afghanistan taking place. We don't know, but it could be that when we look back even in weeks or months, we say, yes, World War III has started. The United States is so reckless, so irresponsible, and led by such a delusional president right now that I'm sorry to say that anything is possible.
There are more than 1,500 Iranians who've been killed in this conflict so far, but we're also facing another crisis, that is an energy crisis. The world is facing an energy crisis right now. Oil prices are spiking. Energy experts say
they're already saying this is the worst energy supply disruption in history. Okay, that's what they said. The worst in history. Thanks to Trump. But now let's go to this clip. This man calls it Operation Epic Failure. Okay, that's a good one. That's why I was sitting up here laughing. Okay, Operation Epic Fury. No, it is an epic failure. Okay, and now they're trying to hide the mistakes that they've made. Let me put an overlay on this.
Studies. My name is Pascal Lotta, and today I am joined again by Larry C. Johnson for an update on everything about the Iran war. Larry, welcome back.
Hey, Pascal. Good to join you.
thank you for taking the time. And I really wanted to talk to you about your assessment, especially about the kind of operational or kinetic effects of the war that we are seeing. Just before this one, I talked to Stephen Starr, and he gave an update about, all of the destroyed radar systems and the capacity that Iran still has. And I really wonder about your assessment where the war is going now after 2 weeks.
Well, if you're on the Iranian side, they're pretty pleased with how it's going, despite they've really taken some blows on some infrastructure, but they've accomplished significant military objectives that have hurt U.S. operational capabilities. Number one, and as Stephen talked about, the destruction of those radars. Those are billion-dollar. One's a $500 million, another couple are $1 billion plus. They were critical for identifying threats, both maritime, aviation, coordinating air movements, deconflicting air movements. And then we've learned tonight, CENTCOM has announced about 2 hours ago, KC-135 was shot down. Now, then I guess they may come out and try to say it was accidental, but it wasn't.
What is a case? Is a transport plane or a refueling plane?
It's a refueling plane. A KC-135 is a plane that can refuel up to 5 F-35A jets, and that's from the bases where they're taking off. The F-35s have to be refueled even to get back to the base if they're going to, because they don't go too deep into Iran. Anyway, there were reportedly 2 of these KC-135s returning, and what I've learned is the second plane saw a surface-to-air missile fired up. Second plane took evasive action. It hit the first plane, and it's unclear whether there were 5 or 6 people on board, but they're all dead. I mean, you hit a fuel tank, that thing explodes. It doesn't. They don't have time to put on parachutes and jump out.
But would that have been shot down over Iran, or would Iran have managed to shoot it down over somebody else's airspace?
Well, it was shot down over Iraq, of all places.
Iraq, okay.
But again, some of the Iraqi groups that are aligned with Iran, there is a Hezbollah element. They probably took the shot.
Now, I want you to pay attention, because didn't Hegseth just lie to our faces and say that they're trying to engage their proxies, but the proxies are not helping them? It was one of their proxies that shot down that flight. Okay, that shot down that aircraft. And he can't say that because he's already lied. So he can't admit that it was shot down, okay, over Iraq by the proxies, because he already lied and told us the proxies are not helping them. Please pay attention. Okay, is he that stupid? Well, obviously so. We knew it was shot down, because how else did it hit the ground? Now, here's the thing. He did tell part of the truth. He said there were 2 aircraft involved. Yeah, there was. One of them got the hell up out of there. They saw it coming, and they had time to evade and turn around or whatever. Unfortunately, the other ones couldn't get out of there fast enough. Now, the guy said in the video that they didn't have time to get their parachutes or whatever, but they don't even have parachutes on the craft, according to Hegseth, which I would wonder why not. Though it wouldn't have helped them anyway, but I just wonder why they wouldn't have, parachutes on there. This is all Peaceful Living says Iran has a strategy that's the difference. Exactly. Listen, they're hitting them where it hurts. Okay, every move is a calculated step. Now, they hit that particular aircraft because it is used for refueling. Okay. Now, they were taking fuel to the rest of them, but now they took them out. And of course, like you said, it's going to immediately explode on impact because of all the fuel on there. And this is all so sad. Bless the souls of those poor soldiers who've lost their lives. Okay, at the end of the day, this is no one's fault other than Donald Trump. Now, let's continue, because remember how Trump said that he was going to hit them 20 times harder? Okay, if the oil stops, it's going to hit them 20 times harder. Well, how hard are you hitting them now? If you're going to maximize that by 20 times, Donald Trump, Just an idiot who just says whatever he thinks sounds good at the time. Now let's go to this video of Khamenei's funeral. They're filming it live. Okay, the Financial Express is showing his funeral. So let's go to that for a second. Let's go to the CNN report. We're going to be out of here in just a minute. There's something going on with the House Oversight Committee. I'm trying to find the footage. But let's listen to this report from CNN. Trump administration significantly underestimated Iran's Strait of Hormuz closure. Yeah, I'll say they did. Terry Hinn said, does that look like they're protesting their leader? No, more like reverence. Well, we know that Trump is just a liar who lies. I mean, people don't like him in his own country. Trump, that is. Okay, more so than people that dislike the Ayatollah.
Prepared for something that administrations have been talking about for decades?
Yeah, look, this is reporting from CNN's Zach Cohen, Phil Mattingly, Kevin Liptak, and Kylie Atwood. And it gets into just how problematic what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, which, of course, is one of the world's most important energy chokeholds in the country. It's responsible for 20% of the global crude oil that comes out of that very key waterway. And what they're learning, our colleagues, is that essentially that while key officials from the Department of Energy and the Department of Treasury were present for a lot of these briefings, what is typical in planning for something of this magnitude, an operation, military operation of this magnitude in the Middle East, they said that the agency analysis and forecast that would be integral elements of the decision-making process in past administrations were secondary considerations here. Now, I think one of the key things is what the administration is actually going to do about this, John. And what we've heard from top officials and what our colleagues are hearing from their sources involved in some of the planning on this is that it could be weeks before the Trump administration's efforts to really try and alleviate the impact of what is happening in the Strait can actually take effect. We have heard many officials kind of talk about the possibility of having the U.S. Navy go in and escort some of these oil tankers and ships through the Strait to make sure they're safer. But that is very high risk. And that is something that we've now heard as well from top officials like the Energy Secretary Chris Wright, noting that it can be very dangerous to do that. Meanwhile, we've heard from the president kind of trying to downplay some of the tumult we've seen with energy and what has been happening in the Strait. Now, I do want to reference what we heard from the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent yesterday. He was speaking with Sky News, and he said that the escorts from the U.S. Navy will begin, quote, as soon as it is militarily possible. He said that was their planning, and there's a chance that the U.S. Navy or perhaps an international coalition could ultimately escort these tankers through. We also heard, just speaking on this idea of preparedness and the lack thereof that our colleagues are reporting on, we did hear from the White House, a spokeswoman, Anna Kelly. This is what she told CNN. She said, through a detailed planning process, the entire administration is and was prepared for any potential action taken by the terrorist Iranian regime. She went on to say that the president has been clear that any disruptions to energy are temporary and will result in a benefit to our country. That has really been the line we've heard from this White House, that what is happening right now with oil is temporary. But all to say, we do know that energy executives as well are kind of trying to play it safe right now. They do not want to be sending their oil tankers through, risking lives, risking their ships at this moment. So this is a problem that is likely going to continue for a long time until the administration can figure out how to safely, escort these ships and reopen the strait in a way that is safe for everyone. John?
Secretary of Energy Chris Wright told Kate yesterday they were not yet ready to escort these fuel tankers through the strait. General, the reporting is that somehow the administration, the National Security Council, the Pentagon maybe underestimated what Iran was willing to do in the strait. How could that be when I know that a strait closure has been near doctrine in the U.S. for decades?
John, I was very surprised by those, that reporting as well. In my experience, and I've spent, a couple of decades working in the Central Command area of responsibility, to include being part of, the development and the review of the concepts of operations to address the threats that Iran poses to the region, and specifically the Strait. So I believe that CENTCOM certainly had this as a potential response option based on, offensive operations into Iran. So now the fact that potentially all the capability to start clearing the strait to allow freedom of navigation, and we may have to have additional capabilities build up to include, similar to what we had with Prosperity Guardian, to rely on our coalition partners in the Gulf states and our allies from NATO to assist. That may be forthcoming.
Let's listen to what the secretary just said about the Strait of Hormuz.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44. Guys, Nina just built a...
They are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with. We have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it. We're on plan to defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world has never seen before. The only thing prohibiting transit in the Straits right now is Iran shooting at shipping. It is open for transit should Iran not do that. Now, there's a reason why we chose as one of our primary objectives destroy the Navy. We understood the ability to interdict shipping is something Iran has done for 40 years. It's key terrain. They've used it as leverage. The world is seeing what they'll do to fight back in that context. And so we've heard them talk about taking various measures, and we're planning for all of them. So we have a plan for every option here. We're working with our interagency partners, and that's not a strait we're going to allow to remain contested or with a lack of flow of commercial goods. So we're aware of that. We're laser focused on our military objectives, but also want to make sure our partners across this government understand we're working with you to make sure that energy flows. And that's an important part.
Let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. It's really become the center of this war right now. And maybe more than anything else, this seems to be bringing the battle home for the American people. Do you agree?
Well, absolutely. And a lot of people may be puzzled by it. They say, look, there's a conflict way over there. The United States does produce a lot of oil and gas. So why is the cost going up at my corner gas station? First of all, because that is also a big oil and gas region. A lot of petroleum products there, from the UAE to Saudi Arabia, a huge producer, Kuwait, Iraq, and Iran itself. And almost all of it has to come through this thin ribbon of water down here and pass through the very tight Strait of Hormuz. About 3,000 ships a month, about 20 million barrels of oil a day. And Iran, as you noted above, Jake, is really putting a lot of military pressure on those ships and, in effect, slamming the gates shut there at the Strait and letting almost nothing through.
We've heard about the effort to mine the Strait, sea mines by the Iranians. What do we know about Iran's ability, their capability to do that?
We know that they have a lot of mines, and they're not the old mines that you see in World War II movies. For example, they have this type of mine, which is called an influence mine. This is just one type. This sort of mine is much more modern. It sits underwater, and it basically takes readings on what's passing above, so that if a small boat or ship goes by, it may ignore it. But if a big tanker goes by, and that's what it's been tuned to, that's when it may detonate. It will be enough to destroy it. We don't know. How many are out there? We don't know. But that uncertainty alone is also contributing to the notion that none of these ships that ought to be going out are doing so. Jake?
Tom, most of the oil from the Strait goes to Asia, notably to China. So why is it impacting the U.S. this way?
Yeah, almost none of it comes to the United States. But the problem is oil is traded on a world market. Once it gets out there, it's basically being all mixed together and traded. So if I were to put barrels in the back of our warehouse here and make them represent all the oil being traded in the world, 20% of it is now not passing through the Strait of Hormuz. You simply cannot remove that much from the market without affecting shipping and trade and manufacturing. And yeah, absolutely, what all of you are likely to pay this weekend when you go to gas up your car.
So darn shame. So darn shame. Now listen, they're just making so many jokes on the United States online. It's just ridiculous at this point. But so listen, I want to just share a couple of more clips and then we're out of here. I'm going to go to this report from Newswatch where they talk about how Trump, this is from 4 hours ago, where they talk about how Trump renews his threats against Iran. And then also, where is it? They said, MS Now said, reality calls Trump's bluff. And then they said, when Pete Hegseth was asked what success was, they said, has the definition changed? Let's continue. Danielle says, Queen, I truly admire the reporting that you do. I love how you keep the Black family aware of what's happening. We definitely can't rely on lamestream. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate your kind words, and thank you for being a member for 10 months. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, let's get into it. We're almost done, y'all, because we're past the two-hour mark, and I have to come back later.
See who's live for us at the White House. Tom, the president's post comes after a new threat from Iran's newly minted supreme leader.
That's right. Good morning from the White House, Marky. Look, President Trump saying that defeating Iran means the top priority of this ongoing war, not the surging oil prices being felt by Americans right now at gas stations. But the Trump administration is still making some moves to ease some of those concerns around the world right now, lifting sanctions on Russian oil already loaded on ships, allowing other countries to buy it and help stabilize global markets. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent acknowledged the temporary financial benefit for Russia, but said Russia will not benefit from the sanction relief long term. And with gas prices still a concern, the White House team has weighed more action, including offering possible naval escorts for ships in the Strait of Hormuz, as well as a waiver of what's known as the Jones Act, which requires goods moved between U.S. ports to be shipped on American vessels, which could help lower gas prices. But a final decision has not been made. Meanwhile, on the Senate floor on Thursday, lawmakers honored Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, one of the 7 U.S. soldiers killed during Operation Epic Fury.
The knowledge that he felt pursuing a noble causing is actually small comfort, but it cannot obscure the empty seat at the dinner table.
The Trump administration also continues to closely monitoring the reports of a refueling plane going down in Iraq on late Thursday night. Just this morning, U.S. Central Command reporting that 4 of the 6 crew members, U.S. service members, have died as a result of that plane going down. But the exact cause still remains under investigation. U.S. Central Command saying it was not hostile or friendly fire. Marky?
Yeah, we're hearing from Pete Hegseth here in just about 30 minutes time. We'll see if we learn anything more on that loss of life. Tom, before I let you go, from the White House, Vice President J.D. Vance is headed to North Carolina today. Correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of sounds like a midterm campaign stop. Why now with all of this playing out?
Well, look, affordability has become a very hot word with political campaigns right now. And Vice President J.D. Vance will be traveling to Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which will be one of the very key swing states come the midterm elections later this year. But the timing of this trip rather notable because recent surveys done by Catawba College and YouGov from earlier this year found 63% of people in North Carolina described prices as being higher than last year, and more than half described themselves as having trouble affording basic needs like groceries and utilities. Also, keep in mind that just earlier this week, President Trump traveled to Kentucky and Ohio to highlight that issue of affordability. Marky?
Thank you for watching. Subscribe.
Oh, y'all are something else. Okay, so I'm about to conclude this broadcast, and I will be back later. But before I do, Skeletor Face said, I didn't think Orville Redenbacher was still working. Hold on. Before I go, I want to show you all a lifeline. I need you all to see this lifeline, okay? They have this thing, it's like a fake gun. It's not necessarily a gun, but it emits the sound of gunfire. And it's for sale. And I want to give you all the lifeline to tell you all, please, whatever you do, don't buy this. Okay? Don't buy this. All right? Because this is absolutely crazy. I don't know who made it or what they were thinking of when they did. But let me just warn you in advance.
Hey.
What? Do y'all see that?
Hey.
I am so done. Who made that? Please, whatever you do, don't buy it. Okay, you'll just get yourself killed. I mean, what do you do when somebody fires back with the real thing? Thought that was a good idea. Can you imagine? So, sister said it sounds like the real thing. Yeah, it sounds like, okay? It sounds like, beloved. But girl, what if somebody has the real thing? Okay, you fire that and they turn around and really start letting them rip. Honey, police, whatever you do. Wonder what made whoever invented that come up with it? Were they sitting at home high as hell, clearly have been smoking some weed, no less? Sitting there thinking that they all woke and like, you know what? I got a good idea. Why don't I make a device that sounds like a gun going off? What? Sounds like gunfire. You can use it to scare people. You come outside and see somebody trying to steal your car, you can fire it at them. Please, that's all fine and dandy till the real gun shows up. Okay? That's all fine and cute. Until somebody really starts blasting. Okay? Because if I'm walking down the street or I'm anywhere and I hear that, and it sounds like it's coming for me, Mr. Smith and Mr. Weston gonna come out real quick. That's all I'm saying. Okay? I'm not taking any chances. Just anticipate says sounds like but doesn't look. Okay? Whew, that's a good way to get somebody killed. Like, seriously, that should be illegal to even sell as far as I'm concerned. All right, anyway, so with that all being said, yeah, that's right. Right, said keep it away from kids, okay? Anyway, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. I'll be back later with more updated information. We're probably going to talk about these Epstein files. I'm going to see what I can dig up. And also, I want to talk about the Rothschilds. Okay, and so with that all being said, likes up, everyone please like and share. Thank you in advance. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Hit him with that flavor. All in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me?